This is part 1 in a series of articles on digital prepping, preparing your computers and smartphones for the possibility of any number of events which could leave you without internet or power for an extended period of time. There are multiple articles already in this series. I'm going to read the first article to you now, which is glorious. But if you'd like all the additional articles, including the ones that are to come, be sure to head over to lunduke.locals.com. Subscribe over there. Even a free subscription will get you most of them. A few of them are gonna be premium-y. But go over there, go to lunduke.locals.com, get a subscription, sign up, and you'll get all the new articles and podcasts as they come out. But for now, sit back and behold at part 1. The internet is an amazing tool, to be sure, an always connected network which we can use to look up nearly any piece of information we might think of. Historical tidbits, recipes, maps, technical engineering details, how-tos, song lyrics, you name it. But what happens when that always connected network is no longer always connected? What if, for whatever reason, you are left without internet access for an hour? Or a day, a month, or dare I say it, what if the internet simply is gone forever? These are not far-fetched notions. The internet has only existed for a short period of time, and there is no reason, absolutely no reason at all, to believe it will continue to exist indefinitely. There are regular internet outages all across the world, with some impacting very large areas. And let's face it, the internet infrastructure is darn fragile with a huge number of critical points of failure. Plus, there are areas you may travel to where you simply will not have internet access, or heck, you might not want internet access for some reason. In other words, how do you get access to all of that information when you cannot access the internet? Luckily, it's pretty darned easy. You'll just need to plan ahead a little bit. The first and possibly the easiest thing you can do is to grab an offline web browser, which is exactly what it sounds like, an application that lets you use websites which you have pre-downloaded when you have no internet connection. There are multiple options available, but for now, I recommend starting with Kiwix, which, as luck would have it, is available for nearly every major computing platform you can think of: Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, and iOS. Kiwix works by loading a website archive in a format known as a ZIM file, which essentially takes a whole website and sticks it into a single searchable file for your use when offline. Once installed, you can then proceed to download any of a number of website archives that have been pre-created on a huge range of topics, including the archives of Stack Exchange, the Q&As there, Wikipedia, Project Gutenberg, cooking and prepping resources, and just so much more. It's huge. These ZIM website archives can be downloaded both from the website as well as directly from within the Kiwix application, the Kiwix browser itself. Extremely easy to use, no account necessary, and it runs almost anywhere. Once downloaded, you can use Kiwix almost like any normal web browser, except it's not connected to the internet at all. Now, depending on how many websites you'll want full archives of, this can take up quite a large amount of space. For example, the full archive of Wikipedia is 89 gigs in size. Luckily, they've also broken that down into categories if there are only a few topics that actually interest you. If you want all of Wikipedia, Stack Overflow, Project Gutenberg, which gives you over 60,000 ebooks, including a huge number of classics, and the full archive of WikiHow, because instruction articles are really handy, you're going to need several hundred gigs of storage ready, and hopefully a pretty fast internet connection to grab all of them in the first place. Luckily, once downloaded, those ZIM archives can be backed up, copied around, and reused on any device. Now, let's talk about maps. There was a time when all maps were offline. They came on paper, and every car had a collection of them in the glove compartment, and everyone had a road atlas, at least one that covered the area that they lived in. But nowadays, almost everyone has become reliant on services like Google Maps to find their way around. If you lose access to the internet, this can become a big problem in a hurry. Luckily, we have solutions. The first and most simple solution is to use the Offline Maps feature of Google Maps. This allows you to download a large portion of the location data for an area that you select. You will then be able to use Google Maps somewhat regularly for that region. This is handy, and if you use Google Maps, I highly recommend doing this for at least the area where you live. It truly does work pretty well. However, that said, there are some serious downsides to this mechanism. First of all, your offline map is not going to be available to you on all of your computers and smartphones. Second, it is only going to function as long as Google's software allows it to function. And since that software is all closed and typically reliant on an internet connection, we have no idea how long that will truly be. And third, it assumes you can or want to use Google Maps, which means you're going to want another solution as well. My personal recommendation is OpenStreetMap. Now, OpenStreetMap is free, volunteer-built, and is a map database, which, in my experience, is extraordinarily complete. You will, on occasion, find gaps of information, but usually only for the most remote areas. There are a large number of applications for a number of platforms that utilize OpenStreetMap data while offline, but for my money, the best available is Marble. Marble is available for Linux, Windows, Mac, and Android, and has absolutely just a huge number of features, including the ability to download sections of a map or download entire map databases, including modern maps, satellite views, and a wide range of, and this is very cool, historical maps and globes dating back hundreds of years. Now, all of this makes Marble not only an excellent choice for modern mapping and driving or walking directions needs, but also for educational and historical purposes. It's worth noting, if you have trouble running Marble on recent versions of Android, there are several OpenStreetMap applications available for mobile platforms, including OSM and OpenStreetMap Android. It works fantastically well. Now, this is just scratching the surface. As you begin your digital prepping journey, you're going to quickly realize just how much of your day-to-day computing is utterly reliant on an active internet connection, or at the very least, an occasional connection. Music, language translation, software installations and updatings, operating system setup, communications, the list goes on and on. What we've done here today is the first step towards preparing yourself for a complete and total loss of internet connectivity, an eventuality that is all but certain to occur, even if just for a short period. As we continue through this series of articles, we will also be touching on some of the other aspects of digital prepping that are a bit more, let's just say, intense, such as computing when there is no electrical power grid, creating your own mini-internet, short, medium, and long-range data transmissions, preparing for EMPs or electromagnetic pulses, floods, fires, and other physical threats to computers and data, and effective and safe backups of critical data and physical media. Now, because this really is only useful if you put this into practice, there's homework. Every single instance of this series, every part has its own homework. And because it's one thing to know these options are available for having access to information offline, it's another to put it into practice. So, with that in mind, here's your homework for part 1. It's nothing difficult, should take no more than a few minutes at most, but when you're done, you'll have taken your first steps towards becoming a true digital prepper. Number 1, install both Marble and Kiwix on one device. The links are in the article. Number 2, launch Kiwix and download one website archive that interests you. That should be super easy because there's a ton of stuff in there. Number 3, launch Marble. Select OpenStreetMap, zoom in to the town you live, Select the File menu and click Download Region to make an offline copy of that map area. If you don't want to or can't use Marble, no problem. Simply choose a different mapping alternative from the links in the article. Now, Shazam, you have just created your local area mapped for when the internet goes down, and you have something to read when that all happens. Now, see you in part 2 of Digital Prepping, where we will prepare your operating system for being completely offline, including installation, drivers, updates, and installing new software. So this was part 1. This was the part 1, the opening salvo, if you will, to get people started on what I consider to be one of the most important roads to go down. If you have become reliant on your laptops, your smartphones, your tablets, any of your computing devices in your daily life, and all of you have, it's important to be prepared for when the internet goes down. And this doesn't just impact you when your internet connection goes down. This also impacts you for when a server goes offline, right? If you have all of your music on one server and that server and that service goes offline because the company goes out of business, they get hacked, yada, 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 you need a backup plan. Same goes for your maps, your documents, your backups, your files, your software updates, where you download your operating system drivers, everything. And that's what we're going through. Every last bit of this, step by step, how to prepare physically, how to prepare your data, what systems and software to use, how to use them. If you follow this along, every step, you will be prepared digitally for whatever is to come. And I think that's a pretty important thing to do nowadays when our devices have become so utterly important. Now, of course, this article has been up on the Lunduke Journal for quite some time. And there's more parts in this series, with more parts coming over the coming weeks. So go over to lunduke.locals.com, grab a subscription, even a free one, lunduke.locals.com, and follow along there. Not all of these parts will make their way to YouTube and other video sharing sites, but all of them will be at lunduke.locals.com. So see you there.